The first time I saw my wife's lover, he was serving my father's sauce under a chandelier and calling it liberation. Grease burns crossed both my wrists. Rosa was waiting on insulin, and 6 people at Los Bravos needed me to open the next morning. Lena stood beside Sebastian in the black dress I had bought after our last good night, laughing as if she had never washed onions from my hair. Before the week was over, I might have to save my crew, destroy him, or burn the inheritance I had spent my life protecting. First, I had to survive one spoonful without giving him the scene he wanted. A woman wearing a satin headset stepped into my path and pressed an empty tray toward my chest. "Kitchen drop is behind the bar." "I came to eat." Her eyes moved from my burned wrists to my jacket. "Of course," she said. "Enjoy the experience." Lena heard her. She could have corrected the mistake with 3 words. Instead, she turned toward Sebastian. He came over holding a tasting spoon. "Mateo, perfect timing. You invited me. I wanted your palate in the room. Usually, people want it near a stove. You'll appreciate the restraint," he said. "The chili supports the experience instead of dominating it." "Does the experience have a name?" "Liberation." "Subtle." Lena's eyes met mine. "Taste it, Mateo." Not honey, not please. A cue with perfume on it. I took the spoon. Sweet first, smoke next. Then the deep cumin warmth my father called the second fire. Almost right was worse than wrong. Behind Sebastian, a cook lifted a pan from the burner. Lena raised 2 fingers. "Let it settle," she said softly. Sebastian faced the guests. "The secret is patience off the flame." Lena touched Sebastian's elbow, and he gave the next line exactly on cue. My phone vibrated. Rosa's insulin reminder glowed above Tessa's message about our coughing exhaust hood. I was 42, owner-chef of Los Bravos, son of a sick mother, and employer of 6 people who had worked through heat, debt, and my bad jokes. In that room, I was the brown man who must have carried something in. Nobody called me chef. Nobody called me Lena's husband. I looked at the menu. The slogan across the top was ours. "We carry the heat together." Lena had written it years earlier after I talked her through a panic spell before opening. Below it, the menu described cooling the chili base off fire before rubbing toasted cumin in by hand. That instruction lived in the notebook inside our altar drawer. Sebastian watched me taste again. "Well?" A guest leaned closer. "Is it authentic?" Lena tightened her fingers around her glass. "Authentic is a heavy word," I said. Sebastian laughed. "Mateo likes to keep standards mysterious." "No mystery. Sauce is either ready or it isn't." "And this?" The room smelled of smoked chili and Lena's perfume. Beneath both came scorched corn. I remembered our first profitable Friday, when Lena and I had eaten burned tortilla scraps on the loading dock and laughed because hunger left no room for dignity. I kept my hands open and let the room believe its lie. "Needs salt," I said. Lena's laugh came late. "You always say that." "I'm usually right." I finished the spoonful, nodded once, and folded the menu into my jacket. "A souvenir?" Sebastian asked. "The chandelier distracted me. I want to remember the food." He smiled because he thought I had surrendered. I thanked him for the invitation, left with Lena still beside him, and called Rosa from the parking garage. "Insulin?" I asked. "Done. Did you eat?" "Yes." "Lie better." "I had a spoonful." "That is not eating." "I'm fixing it." I drove home, smiling at every red light. Then I went straight to the altar drawer. Rosa's spice tin sat open beside the notebook, cumin dust caught in its hinge. Lena found me in the altar alcove with the menu under one hand. "You left without me?" "You looked occupied." Her shoulders tightened. That is exactly the kind of sentence that turns a coincidence into something ugly. I tapped the slogan. "Coincidence? It's a common idea. You wrote it while sitting on the floor of our first kitchen because you couldn't breathe." She straightened the tin, although it was already square with the shelf. "I helped with positioning. That doesn't mean I gave him this." I opened the notebook to my father's cooling sequence. "And this?" "Chef's cool sauces, Mateo." "Not that way." Her perfume mixed with old cumin and the bleach on my sleeves. She stood close enough that my body remembered her before my judgment did. That was another theft, though not hers alone. I put the notebook in the small steel household box and turned the key. "You're locking up a recipe now?" "I'm securing the notebook. I'm not claiming I own chili." For the first time, the family sauce felt less like memory than guarded property. At Los Bravos, screen light turned the office walls the color of cold dishwater. I split the credentials before I asked her for another explanation. Pain wanted noise. I gave it passwords, timestamps, and a lock. The operating agreement named me sole managing member, and Lena's brand access was a revocable consulting permission. I preserved the existing logs, removed her from recipe files, payroll access, the restaurant calendar, and our social accounts. Then gave Diego limited bookkeeping access and Tessa only what she needed for schedules and purchasing. I printed a dated notice and set Lena's copy on the desk. She read it twice. Payroll is tomorrow. You could hurt everyone because you're angry at me. I didn't stop payroll. I stopped your login. I carried this place through your father's last illness. I know. That hurt because it was true. She had sat with creditors while I sat beside my father. Real debt, real care. Neither explained the menu in my jacket. I'm not touching your phone, your email, or anything personal, I said. But you no longer get business access while telling me business theft is coincidence. Her smooth voice broke. You don't get to erase me. I'm separating what you did from what you're allowed to reach. My thumb hovered over our message thread. On Rosa's appointment days, I sent Lena one onion emoji when fear made language useless. I typed it out of habit, then deleted it. Dawn prep was 3 hours away. Purchasing had changed overnight. The crew did not know why, and Tessa would be waiting at the dish sink for an answer. The ticket boat was still floating in the dish sink when Lena came in at dawn. We used to fold one after every hard close. That morning she reached into the gray water before I could drain it. Lena unfolded the little ticket boat with one wet finger and laid it flat. So this is us now? She asked. Tessa came through the back door carrying a produce crate. This is cold product sitting 9 minutes past receiving. Marriage later. She set the crate down, rescued a tortilla smoking on the griddle, and killed the flame. Then she placed a delivery slip beside the wet ticket. Tessa set a substitution slip beside the sink. Premium poblanos, twice our usual cost, no service need. I didn't approve those, I said. Neither did I, Tessa answered. The order was changed yesterday morning before the lockout. Lena wiped her hand on a towel. Which proves Mateo damaged a system he didn't understand. Lena called the lockout reckless jealousy before Tessa could ask about the missing produce. Tessa looked at her. I didn't say anything about jealousy. You didn't have to. He cut me out overnight, and now every purchasing error becomes evidence. When I asked if she had given Sebastian our vow, she answered with payroll. Lena's jaw shifted. I'm trying to keep the restaurant functioning. That wasn't my question. She picked up one poblano and rubbed its skin between finger and thumb, the same way I had taught her to test sauce years ago. The gesture was right. The answer wasn't. The boat softened between us. Our old joke turned back into a dirty ticket. Tessa counted 3 breaths under her breath, the way she counted orders when angry. Who needs these peppers? She asked. Lena put the poblano down. Ask the vendor. I will, I said. And I'll ask again. Did you give Sebastian the vow? She met my eyes, then straightened the wet ticket's torn edge. You're making the crew watch you punish me? Tessa made it plain that the crew would not carry our marriage. Give me a clean purchasing answer, she said, or leave my prep line. Lena left. Tessa watched the door close, then looked at me. She protected the story before she protected service. Don't get comfortable. I'm watching you too. Diego appeared in the office doorway, holding his laptop against his chest. I may have a retained pitch draft, he said. Company archive, authorized access. If you want it compared, both of you should be present. The refrigerators hummed, while the wet boat came apart in my hand. Diego laid the retained pitch draft beside the menu while Tessa traced Lena's rehearsal cues in red marker. The file came from the Los Bravos archive Diego was authorized to keep, with metadata and access history intact. You can inspect all of it, Diego told Lena. Creation date, revisions, and the company account that retained it. Lena did not touch the laptop. I know what a pitch draft is. Tessa tapped a note in the margin. Pause after liberation. Another note read, lift spoon. Let Lena redirect. The cues matched. Pause, lift the spoon, wait for Lena's nod, and coincidence finally ran out of room. I remembered Sebastian lifting the spoon. Lena touching his elbow. The next line arriving on command. You rehearsed him, I said. I coached presentation. You coached my father's method. No. I coached flow, tone, room movement. That is my work. Our vow was in the flow. I did not give him that sentence. Tessa pointed to a handwritten circle beside the slogan. You told him where to breathe around it. Lena's face lost its polish for 1 second. Because the draft already had it. Where did the draft get it? I asked. I don't know. Tessa started to call the staff meal by one of our old private joke names, saw Lena flinch, and stopped. The silence carried more kitchen history than any pitch deck could hold. Lena leaned against the filing cabinet. For a flash, I saw her in the plastic clinic chair beside me years earlier, awake all night while Rosa waited for test results. That woman had existed. So had this one. What are you planning to do with these files? Lena asked. I confined the retaliation to business records and refused to drag our bed into it. We use the work records, I said. Nothing private. Nothing that turns my crew or my mother into entertainment. That took away one kind of revenge, and left me with the slower kind. Lena looked relieved before she realized what remained. Then you have proof I consulted. Not that I stole. I have proof you coached a launch built from something private. And I'm telling you I didn't supply the notebook. Then help me find who did. Her phone lit with a public preview Sebastian had posted. His face filled the screen beside Lena's name. Tomorrow, he said in the clip, we introduce the creative partnership behind San Antonio's next great food experience. The accident explanation was dead. The deeper theft was not. Sebastian's press preview smelled of camera heat and sauce that had been held too long. Tessa stood beside me near a wall of glossy cards, arms folded, reading the room the way she read tickets. Too much shine. Not enough hands. Lena wore a cream jacket and the face she used when a client's bad idea needed to feel expensive. Sebastian smiled toward the cameras and introduced Lena as the co-creator of the entire experience. Applause moved through the room. Lena did not correct him. Co-creator? I said. Sebastian opened both hands, clean palms, clean cuffs. Mateo, this is a broader table than the one you're used to. He said her consulting role made their authorship shared, public, and already finished. Lena's chin lifted. I shaped the room, the language, the guest path. And the sauce? Her mouth held its line. Authorship isn't just chopping onions, Sebastian told me. It's vision, scale, growth. Clock starts at onions, Tessa said. Sebastian glanced at her like she was an appliance making noise. I wiped an already clean table. Name one component you created. The dish is a complete experience. Name one. You're reducing creative work to kitchen trivia. Temperature is trivia until somebody gets served scorched sauce. A few people lowered their glossy cards. What temperature do you roast the corn? I asked. Sebastian smiled wider. Hot enough to create depth. What fat carries the chili? The fat is not the point. It is when you're cooking. He answered every technical question with scale, premium, growth, and inevitable. Lena wiped sauce from her thumb before the cameras caught the motion. Years earlier, she had leaned against our refrigerator in a client suit, while I fed her the first crisp edge off the griddle. Hunger had stripped the polish off both of us. Looking at her then, I could still remember the shape of that laugh. That memory made my next words colder. This is a claim, I said. Claims get tested. Lena stepped closer. You don't get to turn every room into a line check because you're hurt. No. I get to ask who did the labor under your concept. I asked what either of them could produce the next day without my crew. Sebastian checked the faces around him before answering. Lena's team developed a cadence we can reproduce anywhere. Tessa's crew is not Lena's team. It was developed during her consulting tenure. There it was. He had taken access and renamed it authorship. I could have told the room why Lena's hand on his elbow hurt. I could have named bedrooms, lies, and every ugly possibility my mind had cooked while I scrubbed counters. Instead, I held up the menu. This is business, I said, so prove the business claim. Make one original component without my notebook, my suppliers, or my crew. Sebastian smiled. You're afraid the market has moved past you. I'm afraid you'll poison somebody with branding. Lena's eyes flashed. Anger, shame. Maybe the old attraction sharpened into something mean. Whatever it was, she chose not to disavow him. Sebastian announced that his investors would observe full prep the next morning, using what he called the established Los Bravos cadence. Tessa looked at me. Sunrise? Before. I left before he could borrow another noun. Tessa's crew had to be beyond his reach by sunrise. Nora blocked the loading bay with a clipboard before our first crate crossed the threshold. "Set it down," she said. Tessa lowered her end. I kept holding mine. "We reserved the open blocks," I said. "You requested them. I decide whether you get them." I put the crate down. Nora checked the schedule posted beside the door. "Tuesday's training class stays. We work around it. You use assigned storage only." "Fine. You pay the standard rate." I showed her the payment confirmation. "Paid from Los Bravos." "Insurance?" I opened the email on my phone. She read it, then looked at Tessa. "Who loses hours because of this move?" "No one if he keeps his word," Tessa said. If this is about protecting our work, we move. If it's about making Sebastian fail, I'm not carrying the knife." "It's both," I said. Tessa's expression hardened. "The move protects our hands," I added. "His failure belongs to him. You used our exhaustion to punish Lena." I was wrong. The crate handle slipped and caught my burned wrist. Tessa steadied it. "Slow hands," she said. Lena used to press that scar and say the same thing before service. From Tessa, it felt less tender and more deserved. Nora tapped her clipboard. "Who gets photographed?" "No one who doesn't agree." "Any signs about Lena?" "No." "Sebastian?" "No." "Do you question my trainees about your marriage?" "No." If her kitchen became my revenge stage, she would close the door. "Say the rest," Tessa told me. I faced her. "You call the work. Nora calls the building. I pay, follow the schedule, and keep my marriage off the prep line." Nora turned to the signature page. "I keep the keys. I keep the permits posted. My programs have priority. If you block a class, misuse a sink, or recruit one person into your feud, you're out." "Understood." I signed for 3 licensed prep blocks and handed Tessa the posted schedule. Nora kept the keys, permits, equipment control, and the right to revoke us. "Now you can unload," she said. We rolled in burners, Cambros, knives, and the dented mixer that complained louder than I did. Tessa set her phone on a crate. On Sebastian's public feed, the promised prep line stood polished and empty. Sebastian spoke into the camera. "A supplier delay has compressed our schedule, but the established rhythm remains intact." Lena stood behind him beside 3 unused hotel pans. Tessa turned the phone face down. 40 pounds of onions tomorrow. I had 36 on the sheet. 40 now. Talking made us late. I had lost the room under chandeliers. Now I moved the hands he had counted on. Nora pointed toward the sanitation station. "Leave better than you entered." We worked until the onions filled the room and refrigerator breath cooled my neck. Nobody cheered. The crew simply moved, and Sebastian's borrowed cadence disappeared. When the first block ended, Malik arrived with Diego and a narrow stack of invoice copies. "Voluntary records only," Malik said. "If you want a boycott, don't offer me a chair." I pulled one out anyway. Malik set 3 stacks on my desk. "Los Bravos logs," he said. "Vendor invoices. Records from anyone who said yes. Nobody else enters the conversation." Diego reordered every page by date while onion dust drifted in from the loading dock. I wanted a list of every supplier Sebastian owed. Malik gave me a flat look. "No." "He's using my relationships?" "Then prove that. You don't get to punish vendors for needing sales." Malik matched the willing vendors' invoices to Diego's Los Bravos logs, one dated delivery at a time. The premium poblanos from Tessa's substitution slip matched a rush shipment sent to Sebastian's food hall that morning. The vendor had corrected our order before billing us, so Los Bravos had not paid for his produce. What mattered was the favor attached to it. One rush invoice carried the note Los Bravos intro and remained 31 days unpaid. Diego placed our business calendar beside it. Lena had scheduled a shared sourcing review while she still held company access. Another willing supplier showed samples extended on the strength of our payment history. Sebastian had promised settlement after launch. "Numbers first," Malik said. "He received favors. He has not paid on time. That does not prove an affair, a recipe theft, or the end of civilization." "I didn't say civilization. You had the face." The records showed Sebastian was floating on unpaid favors and relationships Lena had reached through our business. The vendors kept their originals. Malik held only the limited comparison copies they approved. "What can I tell them?" I asked. "The clean version. which charges belong to Los Bravos, which do not, and which promises came from him. No threats, no loyalty test. I squared the receipt edges until they formed one hard white line. And if they keep extending credit? Their risk, not your marriage. Malik stopped tapping his calculator when I agreed. The numbers were enough to prove dependence, not invention. That distinction cost me the revenge I wanted. It also gave me something sturdier. Suppliers could separate our obligations from Sebastian's promises without hearing one word about Lena's private life. Diego closed the calendar. You can prove they borrowed access. You still can't prove either one lacks kitchen authorship. Tessa's voice came through the open door. Then put them on a station. I looked at the locked office cabinet where the notebook sat beyond Lena's reach. One service, I said. From memory. Lena arrived alone before Friday's service. No cream jacket, no Sebastian. She wore black kitchen shoes and carried her current food handler card in a clear sleeve. The pass stood between us, cold steel deciding whose labor became the story. You want them to watch me fail, she said. I want the authorship claim tested where the work happens. That sounds cleaner than humiliation. Tessa came out of the walk-in with a cotton apron. Ordinary customers, no cameras, no announcement. If you slow service, I move you. If either of you turns my line into marriage court, I stop the shift. I offered Lena one paid service from memory with no notebook and no brand authority. Her eyes moved to the office door. You locked it up. Yes. Because you think I copied it. I know the launch used it. That isn't the same sentence. It's the only one service needs tonight. Tessa posted the shift sheet, pay, access expiry, and her stop work authority. She assigned Lena the lead sauce station. I stayed on Expo unless Tessa moved me. Lena received no payroll, recipe, calendar, or social access. The shift ended when the last ticket cleared. Lena read every line before signing. You used to trust my hands, she said. I trusted what they carried. Her mouth tightened. And now? Now Tessa decides if they can keep up. The first apron knot slipped. Lena quietly retied it. I remembered teaching her to judge sauce by rubbing one drop between finger and thumb. I also remembered the night she had written our vow while sitting on the floor, breathing to the count of my knife against the cutting board. For one dangerous second, I wanted to step around the pass and fix the knot for her. I stayed where I was. Tessa handed Lena a tasting spoon. You're not here as his wife or Sebastian's co-creator. You're one paid set of hands. Clear? Clear. If he goes quiet to punish you, call me. Lena looked at me. He always goes quiet. Before he burns something. The old familiarity landed between us. It did not repair anything. The ticket printer woke with a hard mechanical chatter. Tessa tied her own apron. Fire. Hope lasted 3 tickets before the sauce turned grainy and Tessa began counting under her breath. Lena led the station and missed the sauce, the staffing rhythm, and the old dish name. 2 burnt Fridays, Tessa called. Lena stared at the ticket. That isn't on the menu. It's staff meal, corn scraps, eggs, chili. Behind you. Lena turned the wrong direction and blocked the cold station. Behind means move, Tessa said. I know what behind means. Then move. The sauce tightened in Lena's pan. She rubbed a drop between her finger and thumb, but too fast, treating texture as a gesture instead of information. Too hot, I said. She looked up. Then why didn't you say it 30 seconds ago? Because I wanted the failure visible. I did not say that. My silence said it better. Tessa counted 6 tickets, set down her spoon, and faced me. Pick up, now. I'm on Expo. You're watching her drown while 6 tables pay for it. Pick up or get out of my kitchen. The printer screamed again. I took pickup. Sauce off, I said. Fresh pan, cold towel under it. Lena reached for cumin. Not yet. I remember. No. You remember the picture of it. Her face went pale, but her hands followed the command. We got through the rush by narrowing her station and letting Tessa call every movement. The crew stopped looking to Lena for answers. They also stopped looking to me for justice. They wanted plates. After the last ticket, Lena leaned against the pass, sweat darkening the borrowed apron. You proved I'm not a chef, she said. I proved branding isn't authorship. No. You proved you can hurt me while pretending service made you. Tessa dropped towels into the soak bucket. He did. You also couldn't run the station you claimed to co-create. Both facts fit in the same kitchen. Lena untied the apron. I helped build Los Bravos. You did, I said. You also didn't know burnt Fridays. That joke belonged to us. It belonged to everyone we fed. She flinched. She knew how the food photographed. She did not know how the kitchen moved. The truth should have tasted clean. Instead, it tasted of scorched corn and my own cruelty. Tessa took back the shift sheet. Next time you test somebody, you work beside them. The crew is not your jury. Sebastian could still hide behind Lena's old labor and his polished room. After cleanup, I put cash in an envelope and called Malik. I wanted Sebastian to name his dish with his own hands. Malik's demonstration kitchen had 6 vendors, 2 labeled burners, and nowhere for Sebastian to hide a bad answer. Lena came with him but stood away from the stove. I set the payment envelope beside Sebastian's sample and asked him to name one thing he had invented. If you can explain it and make it, I said, the money is yours. Sebastian glanced around to see who was watching. Creative ownership isn't a carnival trick. Then this should be easy. He touched the sample cup. The smoked corn base. What temperature do you roast at? High enough to achieve depth. Malik labeled 2 clean cups. What fat? I asked. The fat serves the overall balance. What balance? Premium food must remain accessible without becoming ordinary. One vendor folded her arms. Another checked the time. Lena said, Sebastian, just answer him. His smile tightened. The room does not need a technical lecture. The room supplies your food, Malik said. It needs a clean record. Sebastian finally agreed to make the corn base. He overheated the pan, added wet corn before the oil settled, and burned the first layer black while explaining that inconsistency was part of live craft. He could not explain one component, then scorched the one he agreed to make. Malik placed the ruined cup beside the branded sample. The smell alone settled most of the argument. This proves I'm not a line cook, Sebastian said. No, I answered. It proves you claimed authorship over work you can't describe. The experience is still mine. Then send me an invoice for the chandelier. A few vendors laughed. Sebastian looked at them before he looked at me. Lena's phone sounded with the same hospital call chime she had used during Rosa's tests years earlier. For a moment, I saw her awake in that plastic chair, holding terrible coffee and my shaking hand. Then she silenced it and stayed beside Sebastian. The vendor stopped treating his authorship as a fact. The envelope remained where I had placed it. Lena waited until Sebastian left the stove. You proved your point. Not yours. Her expression changed. What would prove mine? Tell me how he got the cooling sequence. She said nothing. I sealed the branded sample in a clean container. Sebastian had not created it, but someone had taught his kitchen enough to get close. Before dawn, I carried it to the only person whose tongue remembered my father better than mine. Rosa tasted once, opened her spice tin, and named my father's off-fire cooling sequence. Not just off the burner, she said. He set the pot on a wet towel. He waited until the oil stopped shivering. She rubbed cumin between finger and thumb, then opened her hand over the sample. Only family hands cooled the base until the oil stopped shivering before rubbing in cumin. The branded sauce had been held too long after that, but the sequence remained underneath. Patience, smoke, then warmth, arriving late. Rosa pushed the cup away. Call Lena. No. Call her. I said no. Rosa folded a towel into exact corners. You bring me proof, then tell me not to speak. I brought you sauce. I didn't bring you a weapon. She sat in my kitchen. She watched your father do this. She also sat all night in the clinic when you were sick. Rosa's eyes sharpened. That does not make this smaller. I know. Then why protect her? I'm protecting you. I did not ask. That landed where she intended. The refrigerator hummed around Rosa's insulin. I scraped a clean spoon against the cup, though nothing remained on it. If you confront her before the family, everybody gets one good angry night, I said. Then your pain becomes the story they pass around. I won't serve you that way. And what will you serve? I don't know yet. Foolishness, probably. Family recipe. Same thing, some years? She almost smiled. It vanished quickly. I asked her to teach me the cooling sequence again, not because I had forgotten it, but because I needed to hear it without Sebastian's voice wrapped around it. Rosa pointed to the stove. Wet towel first, slow hands. Then my phone rang. The catering client had canceled Saturday's event in writing. The food hall conflict had become too visible for what they called their preferred tone. 40 trays of prepared inventory would lose value by noon if we did nothing. Rosa looked at the sealed sample, then at me. Feed somebody, she said. Just do not make them clap for your wound. The client's written cancellation sat beside Nora's posted serving schedule and approved distribution plan. Nora held out her hand. "Show me the release." I gave her the cancellation. She read it, checked the time, then looked toward the packed hotel pans. "How many?" 200. More if we stretch the beans. "What are you asking permission to do?" "Cook here. Serve the block. Los Bravos covers food and labor." "Who controls distribution?" "You and the neighborhood partners." "Client information?" "Stays private." "Marriage messaging?" "None." Tessa came through the door carrying my chalkboard. "Los Bravos feeds its own." She planted it beside the cancellation. "Then what is this? Not about Lena." "It's a loyalty slogan. Same problem, cheaper paint." Patrice Huerta stood beside the folding tables with her notebook closed. "Own?" she repeated. "Who belongs to whom in that sentence?" Small question. Sharp knife. I picked up the eraser. Every chalk line fought back, leaving white dust in the grain. When the board was blank, Nora nodded toward the street. "Now we can feed people." I erased the slogan, lit the griddle, and handed distribution to Nora. "Corn first," Tessa called. "Beans behind. Nobody plates until Nora says." Nora waved the first volunteers forward. "One line, shade side, water at the end." The catering money was gone, so was every chance to sell the trays twice. Hot asphalt softened under my shoes. Steam rolled off the pans. I cooked corn until the smell pulled neighbors down the block, and Tessa controlled the rests before my crew had to ask. Patrice waited until plates were moving. "Is this feeding?" she asked, "or an argument with better food?" "Ask me after everyone eats." Sebastian stopped at the edge of the line in a pale shirt that had never met fryer oil. "This is clever," he said. "You hungry?" He checked who had noticed him. "I don't need charity." Nora held out a plate. "Then don't take one." His smile failed. He walked away. "Corn's catching," Tessa said. I turned back to the griddle. "I see it." "Then move it." I did. Nobody wore our logo. Nobody repeated my accusation. Patrice watched Nora refuse photographs until the waiting line had been served. She watched Tessa decide when my crew sat down. She watched me keep cooking after Sebastian left. The neighborhood backed the work, not my marriage. Tessa stopped watching me as if the crew needed protection from my next move. Not completely. Just enough to turn her back while I handled the griddle. When the last guest had eaten, Nora saved me one paper plate. "You waited," she said. "I was working." "You usually call that eating." "Rosa says it isn't." Across the folding tables, Lena waited beside Diego. No Sebastian? No cream jacket? She held a dated printout while Diego opened the Los Bravos business calendar. "The dates matter," Lena said. Her voice was no longer smooth. "I brought proof about when I stopped seeing him." By Monday morning, the back office smelled like cold coffee and onion soap. Lena sat across from me with a printout face down and her phone in both hands. Diego put the business calendar between us. "Before we start," he said, "I am comparing one voluntarily displayed message against authorized Los Bravos dates. I am not copying her phone or reviewing anything else." "Understood," Lena said. I flattened a grease stain on the schedule. "Show him." Lena turned the phone toward Diego, not me. The message was time-stamped 6 days before Sebastian's soft launch. She read it aloud. "Sebastian, the physical part is over. Do not ask me again. If we continue working, that is all it will be." The blue light sharpened the bones in her hand. Diego opened only the Los Bravos schedule on his authorized account. He checked the timestamp against prep days, launch rehearsals, and the dates already preserved in our business archive. "This confirms when she sent these words," he said. "It does not prove she obeyed them." "I did," Lena said. "Then why wait until now?" I asked. "Because you would have called it another lie." "I still might." Her jaw tightened. "I brought what I could prove." "Did you sign consulting terms after sending that?" "That is separate." "No. Separate is what I did to the passwords." Diego aligned the papers when our voices crossed. Lena straightened the printout. "I brought the ending. I did not bring every contract." She gave us the date and kept the consulting terms behind her teeth. "You want this to change something," I said. "I want it to change the fact you believe." "Maybe it does. It changes one fact." "And what does that get me?" "A fair review." "Nothing else?" A fact was not restitution, and restitution would not buy her a return. No access, I said. No private meetings. Diego compares the relevant dates. That is all. Her face folded for half a second. Years earlier, she had spent a whole night in a plastic clinic chair, waiting on Rosa's test results, feeding me crackers when my hands shook too hard to open the package. The woman across from me still knew when my mother took insulin. She had also helped serve my father's sauce to Sebastian. Both things fit inside her. That was the trouble. Diego closed the calendar. Evelyn agreed to release scoped campaign records tomorrow afternoon, he said. Those dates either support this message or break it. Lena locked her phone and put it back in her purse. I never touched it. Evelyn's conference room had glass walls, citrus perfume, and chairs too white for anybody who cooked. She placed a folder beside the printer. These are retained campaign calendars and draft metadata, she said. They are scoped copies. No private correspondence, no unrelated clients. Evelyn kept the originals and gave Diego dated review copies. Sebastian sat at the far end of the table. He had come to protect what he called alignment. Lena had come separately and had not looked at him once. Diego sorted the pages by date. Evelyn pointed to colored blocks. Blue is concept development. Gold is launch execution. Gray reflects collaborative overlap. Overlap between whom? I asked. The working group. That is a soft label. It is an accurate client-facing label. Diego found the gap before Evelyn finished explaining the colors. 4 blank days sat between the last private meeting and the next burst of campaign work. What happened here? He asked. Evelyn's smile lasted 1 beat too long. Scheduling interruption? Caused by what? I would have to review the approval sequence. The sequence you did not bring. The sequence requiring additional consent. Sebastian leaned back. You are giving ordinary campaign spacing the weight of a confession. Numbers first, Diego said. The final recorded private meeting appeared before launch work continued. Lena's breakup message came the following night. After that, the calendar showed agency rooms, group tastings, and build campaign sessions, but no private reservation for Lena and Sebastian. That narrowed one wound. Then Diego opened the version history. The early draft used Sebastian's usual language about premium experience and inevitable growth. The next revision added my father's sentence about waiting until the oil stopped shivering. I rubbed dried mesa from a seam in the chair. That sentence was in the notebook, I said. Lena stared at the calendar cells. Sebastian glanced through the glass to see who was watching. Lena had years of culinary language available to her. Collaboration is not a crime. I didn't say crime. Then what are we doing? Checking whether you ever made anything without reaching into my house. Evelyn capped a marker, then uncapped it. The revision timing is clear, she said. Authorship is more complicated. Approvals usually simplify authorship, Diego said. Produce them. I need consent. From Lena? And potentially Sebastian. Sebastian stood. I will not authorize a fishing expedition into proprietary work. Diego marked the 4 blank days and the later phrase insertions. The chronology could support Lena's breakup date. It also showed that somebody fed Sebastian fresh language afterward. Diego scheduled both timelines for comparison at Los Bravos the next morning. The next morning, the Los Bravos dining room stayed closed, while Diego spread the 2 timelines across a table. Cold stainless waited beyond the pass. The fluorescent lights buzzed over Lena, Evelyn, Sebastian, and me. Diego compared only the displayed message and Evelyn's authorized calendar copy. The last private meeting ended Tuesday, he said. Lena sent the termination message Wednesday night. Every documented campaign contact afterward occurred in a group session, agency room, or build launch appointment. Evelyn nodded. Our retained room and transport records are complete for campaign work. Sebastian folded his arms. The personal relationship had ended. I have never denied that. You avoided saying it, I said. What a room needs is clarity, Mateo. Now it has some. Diego tapped the dates. The records corroborate Lena's stated endpoint. Timing only, they do not establish what information she shared afterward. The physical affair had ended before the launch. I stopped scrubbing the clean counter and sat down. For the first time since the launch, I wanted one of her truths to be enough. I no longer had to picture her leaving his bed for the launch stage. One pressure released, but the space it left filled immediately. When did the notebook language enter? I asked. Evelyn looked at the incomplete approval file. After. After she ended it? Yes. Lena's voice cracked. I stopped sleeping with him because I knew what I was becoming. And you kept working. Yes. Did you keep giving him material? She looked at Sebastian. He checked the dark front windows. I kept a professional option alive, she said. A professional option shaped like my father's hands. My phone sounded Rosa's clinic ringtone. Lena reached automatically the way she used to take calls when I could not make my mouth work. She stopped before touching it. I silenced the call and stood. Sebastian adjusted his cuffs. This distinction matters. The public assumption has been continuous misconduct. The public did not ask for our bedroom. And yet you built a campaign of accusation. I cooked food. Same thing, with better lighting. Evelyn gathered her calendars. Diego kept the authorized copies. Lena stayed seated. Speak to me without them, she said. Once. The safe answer was no. No contact. No old smells. No chance of remembering how she felt leaning against our refrigerator in a suit while I fed her crisp tortilla edges. Instead, I accepted the emotional risk. I offered Lena one conversation after closing, not a key, password, calendar, or return. One conversation, I said. Then we deal with what happened afterward. After midnight, the pass was dark except for the hood controls and the red light above the office door. Lena took an unused ticket from the rail. We used to waste these, she said. One ticket a night. Business survived. Barely. She folded it into a boat. Her first crease went crooked. She saw it and did not fix it. I kept both hands on the cold steel. What happened after you ended it? I kept working because I thought I could separate the work from what we had done. You put our vow on his menu. I know. You gave him the cooling sequence. I know. What else? She pushed the crooked boat between us. There was language about consulting. An option. It was supposed to give me a way out if you shut me out. I shut you out after the launch. I was afraid you would do it before. So you prepared to betray me in case I noticed the betrayal. Her face tightened. That is ugly. It is also efficient. She looked at my wrists. The friar burns had gone pale years ago, but she still knew every raised edge. Can I touch you? I should have said no. Instead, I nodded once. Her thumb pressed the old burn. My body remembered before my anger could object. Her hand after major services. Her mouth near my ear. The same two words making speed feel survivable. Slow hands, she whispered. The hood clicked as it cooled. I counted each sound. She stepped closer. Friar oil still lived in my shirt. Her perfume had faded into something warmer, more familiar, and grief stretched my next breath until it hurt. Can I kiss you? She asked. No. I said no to the kiss, and she stepped back. She did not bargain. She did not tell me our marriage gave her permission. She took her hand off my wrist and left the distance where I put it. Thank you for asking, I said. Her laugh broke without becoming a laugh. That is a terrible thing to be grateful for. It is what we have. What do you want from me? The agreement, the dates, everything you kept after you ended him. I told you, it was only language. My phone rang. Diego's name lit the screen. He had found contract language in the company records, and it did not look abandoned. Diego's bookkeeping office smelled like toner and old paper. He had Lena on one side of the desk and me on the other. Evelyn and Sebastian joined by speaker. Diego found a dated consulting option reference in the company records. The entry named Lena, Sebastian's development company, an option payment, and the launch. It referenced an option, but no executed agreement was attached. Lena leaned toward it. That was draft language. Dated Friday after your breakup message, Diego said. It was abandoned. Sebastian's voice came clean through the speaker. The option reflected potential future value. It did not grant authorship to Mateo's materials. You still cannot say my name beside the word authorship, I said. This is not personal. I pressed my burned wrist against the table edge. Last night, she put her thumb on this scar while telling me the option was only language. It is personal. Lena went still. Evelyn cleared her throat. The executed file, if one exists in my retained client materials, requires Lena's written consent for review. Sebastian's unrelated records would remain excluded. I am not asking for unrelated records, Diego said. I'm asking for the agreement named in a Los Bravos company entry. Diego requested the executed file from Lena and Evelyn, the two possible custodians. He turned the reference face down before addressing Lena again. "You can authorize a limited production," he said. "Agreement, signatures, dates, and connected revision history. Nothing intimate." "And if I do?" she asked. "Then the document answers the question," Diego said. She looked at me. "Will you talk to me afterward? If it proves you were telling the truth, I will decide after I read it." "That is not an answer. It is the only clean one." Sebastian shifted into the voice he used for investors. "Lena, there is no value in submitting private commercial terms to a hostile party?" "Hostile?" I said. "You put my marriage on a banner." "You are proving my point." Lena straightened a stack of papers that was already square. "Send me the scope," she told Diego. Evelyn said, "I can prepare it today, but production may affect active client obligations." "Meaning Sebastian might lose something?" "Meaning everyone accepts risk." "Good," I said. Risk finally found the right table. I told Lena there would be no second private meeting unless the executed file appeared. Diego set the deadline for the next business day. Friday evening, Evelyn arrived after close carrying a bright folder she did not set on my desk. Lena had signed a written limited waiver. It covered her consulting agreement and connected campaign revisions. Nothing intimate. Nothing from unrelated clients. Evelyn removed the bright folder before placing the signatures in front of us. Sebastian joined by conference call because his name appeared on the agreement. Diego recorded who received the copies and what the waiver permitted. Evelyn kept the originals. Diego logged the review copies allowed by Lena's written waiver. The option carried both signatures. Lena would receive consulting payments, a future launch role, and compensation tied to campaign growth. The revision trail began after her breakup message. New phrases arrived in the same order they appeared in the notebook stored in our altar drawer. The signed option and revision dates put the copying after the breakup. Sebastian spoke first. "This was standard commercial protection." "For stolen work?" I asked. "For material Lena had helped develop over years." "She helped sell it. That is different." Lena stared at the cooling griddle through the office window. "Tell him," Evelyn said quietly. Lena admitted she had copied every page after ending the affair. My hands started shaking. I aligned the pages by date, then stopped because pretending to need straight paper was making it worse. "When?" I asked. "The night after I sent the message." "You ended his bed and went home to my father's notebook." "Yes." "Why?" Her smooth voice finally broke apart. "I was afraid. I thought Sebastian would drop me if I stopped being useful. I thought you would shut me out if I confessed. I wanted one door that did not smell like grease, debt, or somebody's medicine. So I copied it." "All of it," Sebastian cut in. "That description is emotionally loaded and commercially incomplete." "Hang up," Lena said. "You are under active obligations." "Hang up." Evelyn ended the call. Lena looked at me. "I stopped wanting him before I stopped using what he offered." "That is not remorse." "I know." "No. You know it sounds bad. Remorse would have cost you the option." She did not defend herself. Now I knew the answer. The affair ended, and the theft continued. The brief opening between us closed. I ended the private meetings before Hope could ask for another shift. "Business goes through, Diego," I said. "Nothing alone, nothing after closing." Her eyes went to the crooked ticket boat still sitting on my shelf. She left without taking it. Nora needed an honest training packet by morning. I gathered basic prep standards, locked every sauce ratio back in the steel box, and carried only what I was willing to share. By Tuesday, steam curled over laminated sheets at Nora's community kitchen pass. She read my packet before letting anyone touch it. "If this is a fake leak," she said, "take it outside." "It is not fake. If one bad instruction lands in another kitchen because you wanted to catch your wife, you lose this room. Every instruction works. Who benefits? Anybody who opts in. Who can copy it? Anybody who signs for it." "And the sauce?" "Not included." Nora paused, the way she did before every yes, checking the people who would have to live with it. "Then say the permission clearly." I faced the participating cooks and trainees. "These are Los Bravos prep standards. You can copy them, teach them, and adapt them. They are not the family sauce. No ratios from the notebook are included." I authorized every participating kitchen to copy and reuse the basic standards. Nora logged each willing recipient and posted the packet beside the signed sheet. If the pages reached Lena or Sebastian, they would arrive through lawful sharing, not a baited private trail. They could use the instructions. They could not honestly pretend Lena had created them. Tessa tested each line before approving it. She stopped at one about cooling beans. "Cool until ready?" "Means nothing," she said. "People know what ready looks like." "Then describe it." She crossed out my sentence and wrote a measurable temperature and container depth. "You made it uglier?" I said. "I made it travel." A trainee copied her revision. I led her. We taught pan heating, stock labels, safe cooling, onion holds, and the timing that kept prep from collapsing during pickup. Nothing from Rosa's spice tin. Nothing about the wet towel or the oil going still. Nora watched me as the copies multiplied. "Hurts?" she asked. "A little. Good sharing or bad sharing? I have not decided." "That is not the kitchen's problem." "No." Tessa handed the final packet to another cook. "Tomorrow they should be able to use this without calling us." That had once sounded like lost control. Now it sounded useful. The next morning, the same standards appeared on glossy stock beneath Lena's name. The food hall media preview smelled like new vinyl, citrus cleaner, and money that had never missed payroll. A banner announced Lena Alvarez's scalable heat system. I rubbed the glossy handout until black ink marked my thumb. The packet repeated Nora's authorized standards almost line for line. It removed Los Bravos, Nora's recipient notice, and Tessa's revision marks. Sebastian had added paragraphs about premium consistency. Lena stood beside Evelyn near the presentation screen. "I did not approve this," she said. Sebastian held a tablet at the podium. "The standards were released for redistribution." "Use was released," I said. "My name was not." "The audience does not need a custody lecture." Evelyn capped and uncapped the same marker. "The timing is traceable, Sebastian. The approval field is blank." Lena refused approval before he posted it. "Take my name off," she said. Sebastian checked the reporters and vendors watching us. "Your name gives the system continuity." "My name gives you cover. It gives the audience confidence." "Then launch without it." His smile hardened. "That is an emotional response to an inevitable growth decision." He tapped the tablet. Sebastian published the packet under Lena's name and moved the market launch forward. Evelyn showed me the empty approval line and the time-stamped post. "Now it is preserved," she said. "Preserved is a bright word." "It is accurate." Sebastian announced that the night market launch would happen earlier than scheduled. His team would control the common aisle before our crew had recovered from the block meal and relocation work. The theft had repeated itself in daylight, and our recovery window had just been cut. Lena came toward me after the presentation. "I refused him. I heard. That matters. It matters today." Her face tightened. "Nothing else?" "You told the truth in one room. I am not turning it into a marriage." She nodded once. No defense. No request to touch me. Behind her, Sebastian's new banner unrolled crooked. He ordered a worker to straighten it while explaining that the room needed polish. I returned to Los Bravos, where Tessa and the crew were running on anger, caffeine, and too little sleep. Thursday evening, the ticket printer rattled before we had opened the doors. 118, 119, 120, Tessa counted under her breath. "We can handle it," I said. "Prep is 40 minutes behind." "We make it up on pickup." "You called 2 pickups early yesterday. Nobody died." "That is not our safety standard." She pointed toward a scorched pan of corn I had ordered reheated twice. "You are cooking angry," she said. "It is making you fast in the wrong places." I scrubbed the clean pass. Victor stood in the dining room with his phone against his chest. "A sold-out service tonight supports your lease position?" Tessa looked at him. "A burned-out crew does not." Victor ignored the moral language and went to numbers. "Closure reduces revenue, weakens your operating record, and gives Sebastian leverage." "He already has leverage," I said. "Then do not hand him more." The ticket printer spat another reservation note. Tessa tore it free. "Fire pickup with this crew," she said, "and I stopped the line myself." She had earned that authority. I had promised to respect it. The old version of me would have made a joke, cooked through the shaking hands, then called the damage loyalty. I silenced the printer. "Doors stay closed." Victor lowered his phone. "Mateo, closed tonight." I canceled the sold-out service, paid the crew, and sent them home. Diego entered closure pay while I sent the same cancellation notice to staff and customers. The money came from Los Bravos operating cash. Nobody got reassigned to prep for my revenge. Nobody had to explain personal exhaustion to keep their wages. Tessa packed 2 staff meals before clocking out. You should take one, she said. I own food. You also forget to eat it. That sounds like an employee complaint. It is an operational finding. I took the container. The dining room went dark with every table already set. Scorched corn still clung beneath the silent printer. Victor watched the crew leave. This will cost you tomorrow, he said. I know. Sebastian has a purchase offer ready. I am not selling. You have not read the terms. I know who wrote them. Victor put on his coat. Written offer by morning. After that, the landlord's exposure becomes part of the conversation. The crew got one night of paid rest. I got until morning before Sebastian tried to buy the kitchen he could not build. Victor slid Sebastian's final deadline across the empty table. The written offer carried the deadline stamp and Victor's broker email. Sebastian sat opposite me. Lena occupied the chair beside Evelyn's empty place, while Tessa stayed near the pass with her arms crossed. Victor tapped the first page. Option 1. Accept the buyout by Monday, existing liabilities receive negotiated treatment, and Sebastian's entity assumes the location. What happens to the crew? Tessa asked. Sebastian answered. Qualified workers will have opportunities inside the expanded experience. Not an answer, she said. Employment decisions follow transition review. My crew is not part of the sale, I said. Sebastian smiled. Every acquisition involves labor continuity. This is not an acquisition. Victor tapped the second page. Option 2, refuse. The landlord then evaluates future tenancy without Sebastian's purchase support. Your closure and reduced revenue become relevant. Lena pointed to the agreement. My consulting option does not authorize a sale of Los Bravos. No one said it did, Sebastian replied. It establishes the value of the launch work. It establishes what you paid me to take. He checked Victor's expression before answering. That is a damaging and incomplete characterization. Victor stopped using first names. Mr. Alvarez, these are the available terms. I flattened both burned wrists beside the unsigned offer. Is there a third? Not with your present numbers. What would create one? Stable operators, clean account records, measurable neighborhood demand, not goodwill, not press, not a free meal. Sebastian leaned forward. You can preserve jobs, remove debt pressure, and participate in growth. Refusal serves pride, not workers. Tessa spoke without leaving the pass. He paid us to go home when using us would have helped him. Do not explain his workers to him. I refused Sebastian's buyout without having another address. Send the lease exposure in writing, I told Victor. Sebastian's flattery disappeared. You are reducing the value of your own name. Then stop trying to buy it. Victor collected the unsigned pages, but left us a notice copy for review. Los Bravos was still mine, and its address was no longer safe. My phone vibrated before they reached the door. Anna had sent 3 words. Loading dock. 3. At 3, the loading dock filled with vendor carts, wet cardboard, diesel, and cilantro. Anna had gathered operators Sebastian had promised placements, reimbursements, or preferred terms, and then left waiting. Nobody carried a sign. Nobody mentioned my marriage. Malik stood beside a calculator and a stack of consent sheets. 7 opt-ins, he said. Their balances are current. Their delivery records are clean. 3 have documented unpaid promises from Sebastian's entity. 4 were offered placement terms that never became signed agreements. Anna looked at Victor. He promised. We showed up. Payment went missing. Another vendor described a canceled reimbursement. A second produced an invoice excerpt. A third confirmed that Sebastian had used their business name in a pitch before securing their participation. The vendors described Sebastian's unpaid promises one by one without borrowing my anger. Malik verified only records their custodians had authorized. No bank data, no personal accounts, no rumor dressed as arithmetic. Each vendor reviewed the limited summary before Malik handed it to Victor. Victor read it without touching the underlying invoices. These records show reliable operators, he said. They do not show demand for a shared location. What would? Anna asked. Verified night market attendance, sales across multiple coalition stalls, evidence that the neighborhood follows the operators rather than Sebastian's development branding. I looked down the dock. Anna had stopped listening long enough to tighten a loose wheel on another vendor's cart. I do not need the master lease, I said. Victor looked up. Los Bravos takes 1 bay. The others negotiate their own space. Shared loading, clear storage, separate accounts. You would surrender control of the site? I would rent a kitchen, not a kingdom. Malik stopped tapping his calculator. Victor opened his case and removed a thinner document. Victor opened a conditional shared lease path for the vendor coalition. The terms were landlord approved, but contingent. The market organizer's attendance count and coalition sales would determine whether the smaller neighborhood arrangement moved forward. Victor set the attendance condition in writing and kept both deal paths in his file. No deposits until the condition is met, he said. No promises beyond the page. Anna read the vendor list. Everybody stays separate? Separate businesses, Victor said. Shared property obligations. Paid on time? That would be the point. The coalition could earn stable terms, but the market had to prove demand. For the first time, survival did not require selling to Sebastian. It required showing that people came for cooks, vendors, and food instead of chandeliers. As Victor left, Nora texted me. Patrice is here. Lena brought Evelyn. Records, not redemption. Nora's dining room was empty except for cooling coffee, Patrice's recorder, and Evelyn's polished statement. Patrice touched the recorder but did not turn it on. This interview is on record, she said. Campaign conduct only. No intimate messages, no bedroom detail, and no assumption that confession equals proof. Does everyone agree? We did. She started recording. Evelyn pushed the statement toward Lena. The language acknowledges damage while avoiding an unnecessarily adversarial narrative, she said. It positions your refusal of the repost as a meaningful corrective step. Lena read the first paragraph. It called her a collaborator, caught between competing visions. It called Sebastian's choices misalignment. It described me as a gifted chef reacting from family grief. No, Lena said. Evelyn's smile held too long. The alternative creates severe client-facing risk. Then the clients can see the risk. Lena rejected Evelyn's redemption statement and put the campaign records in front of Patrice. The excerpts carried version dates, approval fields, and Lena's written authorization for limited journalistic review. No private messages, no sexual details. Evelyn retained her originals. Patrice looked at Lena. What word would you use instead of misalignment? Shame. Shame? Lena straightened the recorder, then stopped and left it crooked. I was embarrassed by Mateo's labor, she said. Not when it made money. Then I called it authentic. I was embarrassed when it made me smell like onions in polished rooms. I was embarrassed by debt, grease, his mother's medicine, and how much of our life depended on work nobody applauded. Rosa's insulin alarm buzzed on my phone. Lena reached toward it from habit, then moved my coffee away from a sweating water glass instead. Patrice waited. What did that embarrassment make you do? I made his work sound crude when I wanted distance and precious when I wanted to sell it. I gave Sebastian language, methods, and credibility. I kept the consulting option after I stopped sleeping with him. Lena admitted that class shame, not coincidence, had driven what she sold. Patrice opened the campaign file. An admission establishes your account, she said. It does not establish every claim. I know. What are you offering as proof? The approval history, revision dates, my option, and the materials I supplied. Nothing intimate. Patrice accepted only the marked campaign excerpts after confirming the on-record limits. Evelyn looked at the abandoned statement. This may cost both of us clients, Lena answered without polishing it. Then it costs us clients. She looked at me next. I am not asking this to get me back into the restaurant. You are not getting back into the restaurant. I know. No private meetings until there is material restitution. Identifiable campaign earnings. Permanent separation from brand authority. Written terms reviewed through Diego. And if I do all that, it still will not purchase me. Her eyes filled, but she did not revise the question. I understand. Her ugliest truth made her human. It did not make her safe. The public chronology could be corrected without turning our bedroom into evidence. A courier arrived before Patrice stopped recording. The envelope contained Sebastian's contract notice, reserving his claimed rights under the signed option and demanding that Lena stop interfering with the accelerated market launch. He had lost her approval. He still intended to use her signature. By Monday morning, Sebastian's food hall office had one warm printer, 3 cold coffees, and the clean shine of a place where nobody ever scrubbed dried mesa out of grout. Lena sat across from him with her purse on her lap. She had brought her own paper. No perfume, no armor, except a pen. I stood until Sebastian said, Mateo, please, sit. Not here for please. I sat anyway because my knees were smarter than my mouth. Sebastian invoked Lena's option and slid the disputed damages notice across the table. His launch packet called her a co-creator in bold letters, like font weight could turn a lie into labor. The folder held the executed option, her revocation email, his invoice, a delivery receipt, and a response deadline. I read it twice and kept my hands flat. Paper cut my thumb near the nail. Little sting. Good. It gave my hand something honest to do. Lena said, I revoked approval. Sebastian folded his fingers. You revoked cooperation. The approved launch identity remains part of our contracted development package. That is not approval. That is a distinction your counsel can make by Friday. He looked at me then, checking who was watching before he chose the soft voice. This does not need to get uglier. Say the ugly plain. He said the option let his company preserve claims for withdrawal damages. There, I said. Wasn't hard. Lena aligned the revocation notice with the edge of his desk. She always did that when shame started shaking her hands. Straight lines, crooked room. Sebastian pushed another page toward her. If you sign that, you are interfering with the launch while still bound by your prior approvals. She signed anyway. My phone buzzed with Rosa's insulin refill reminder. Lena's fingers twitched toward the sound from old habit, then closed around her pen. Sebastian watched that too. He never wasted a hunger. Mateo, he said, you understand what she is risking. I understand she signed something without me. She is your wife. She is also the person who has to answer for her signature. Lena looked at me then. Hurt, not surprised. That made it worse. I took a napkin from his tray and pressed it to my thumb. I'll witness the revocation, I said. I won't fight the contract for you, Lena. I won't be your shield because you finally hate the knife. Her throat moved once. I know. Sebastian's smile thinned. You are making a mistake. No, Lena said, putting her signed notice on top of his. I made those already. This is the cost. Downstairs, the food hall was hanging banners for the market launch. Liberation, premium, exclusive, words that had never carried stockpots up a flight of stairs. On the sidewalk, Lena stopped under the hard white sun. Diego has the repayment schedule ready? She asked. Yes. And you'll be there? As witness. Not as husband. I looked at her hands, red where the pen had pressed. As witness, I said again. The first restitution deposit was due before market prep. Diego's office sat above Los Bravos, where toner smell mixed with fryer oil drifting through the floorboards. Sebastian's damages notice lay clipped to campaign invoices on the left side of Diego's desk. Diego had lined everything by date. Of course he had. My little brother could make heartbreak look like a filing system. Before anybody signs, Diego said, scope. Campaign-linked payment records only. Business authority only. No personal accounts, no private messages, no improvising because we're mad. I reviewed it, Lena said. You reviewed it with counsel, he corrected. I reviewed it with counsel. Good. Lena deposited the first campaign payment and signed away brand authority in the same breath. Her receipt printed with a soft, mechanical cough. The sound landed harder than most apologies I had heard. The neutral account held the deposit, and the outside accountant acknowledged the schedule. I counted the corners of the pages instead of the money. Lena put her palm on the receipt, not covering it, holding herself still. That amount matches the identified invoices, Diego said. Later deposits follow the same schedule. Either side can contest mismatches through counsel. Say the other part, I told him. Diego slid the amendment between us. The amendment removed Lena from approvals, credentials, and representative authority for Los Bravos. Her name was still in the old brand deck attached for reference. The vow Sebastian had printed under chandeliers sat in one earlier paragraph, crossed out by a clean black line. There it was. The private sentence we had once used to survive opening night, now dying as a marketing asset under my brother's fluorescent bulb. Lena signed. Diego handed me the access roster. Mateo, Tessa, Diego, no Lena. You accept this as managing member, he said. Not as punishment, as authority separation. I signed. Lena watched the pen move. This doesn't make us even, I said. No. It doesn't buy dinner. It doesn't buy a key. It doesn't buy me touching your shoulder because you did the minimum with money. Her eyes shone, but she kept her voice level. I know. The money proved she would accept consequences, and it gave her nothing back. That should have felt clean. It didn't. Clean was for counters before service. People held stains in warmer places. I slid the signed amendment toward Diego. "Effective today," he said. "Limited operational notice goes to staff. Details stay private." "Good." Lena stood. For a second, we both reached for the same page. Diego pulled it away and reordered the stack without looking at either of us. "Children," he said. It almost made me laugh. Almost. I thanked Lena and did not touch her. Her mouth trembled around something she chose not to say. That restraint cost her more than another polished apology would have. My phone buzzed before I reached the stairs. "Tessa. No binding authority, no market prep. I am not cooking inside your marriage again." I carried the signed amendment downstairs to the pass. At dawn, Tessa stood at the kitchen pass with the new authority chart in one hand and a grease pencil in the other. "No," she said. "That's a full breakfast conversation. No market prep under this." I turned on the overheads. Stainless steel flashed cold. Bleach hit my nose. The pass was already clean, so I scrubbed it with a towel because my hands were looking for a fight. Tessa looked past me at the prep list. "You gave me stop work power if service is unsafe." "Good." I hear a but. But crew refusal is not protected. If you schedule 16 hours because Sebastian breathes wrong, they need to say no without losing shifts. "That's not what I'm doing." She counted under her breath. 6 old tickets from the rail, 6 little ghosts. Then she said, "Yesterday you weren't doing it until someone stopped you." That one found meat. The staff meal ticket still said Burnt Friday, one of Lena's old jokes from our first profitable night when we ate scorched tortilla scraps on the dock and called it dinner. I wanted to tear the ticket in half. I didn't. The crew had inherited enough of my marriage without being asked to bury it. "What do you want written?" I asked. "Crew may refuse added revenge prep without retaliation. My stop work call holds unless Diego reviews it. My vote is required on market schedule, staffing, and closure. You want to overrule me. I want to keep people employed after you finish being wounded." I laughed once, dry as old rice. "You practice that? I worked here. Practice came free." I added the refusal clause and gave Tessa the pen. She read every line. Printer ink smudged on the side of her hand. Mine shook less after I stopped pretending I liked it. The signed amendment gave her stop work power, an operating vote, and protection from retaliation. Before prep, I taped the authority chart beside the time clock. 2 dishwashers read it first. Then the line cooks. Nobody clapped. Good. Clapping turns rules into decoration. Another signature could now stop my kitchen. Tessa signed last. She wrote her name hard enough to dent the paper. "You understand this stays after the market?" she asked. "I understand." "If you get scared, you stop me. If you get proud, you stop me faster." She nodded once. Then we prep. For the first time since I borrowed our first hood, the pass did not belong only to my hand. It should have felt like losing a finger. It felt like setting down a hot pan before it burned through bone. The printer near Diego's office coughed again. A market stall map slid onto the pass with Sebastian's premium corridor blocked in red. Victor pinned the market map to the wall while forklifts screamed outside his converted shipping container office. "Red is paid," he said. "Blue is available." The busiest aisle was red from end to end. Sebastian had bought the premium corridor before Anna's coalition got a clean look at the map. "All of it?" I asked. "Payment cleared yesterday," Victor said. "Contiguous short-term licenses. Same operating entity." Sebastian stood beside the map in a white linen jacket. "A unified corridor produces a premium experience." Anna checked the valve on her borrowed burner. "It produces a long walk past the same lie. It produces traffic you cannot generate from the loading bend. It needs cooks. It has cooks. Show me." Sebastian's smile tightened. "Staffing is not part of this allocation meeting." Funny timing. Victor showed payment receipts, short-term vendor licenses, sub-vendor terms, and the posted stall map. His sub-vendor terms demanded exclusivity inside those prepaid stalls. Anna read the first page. "If I sign, I can't sell beside Mateo or any coalition vendor?" "The corridor requires alignment," Sebastian said. "You mean ownership. I mean consistency. You promised me placement before, then payment went missing." That was a separate arrangement. Paid, promised, missing. Same hands. Victor tapped his pen against the side lane. The market measures attendance and sales, not fairness. Prime placement improves both. Sebastian looked at me. Outbid the corridor, Mateo. Consolidate your people. Anna looked at her burner, not at me. What do you want? I asked her. My own stall, my own receipts, my own no. The side lane? If that's where no fits? Sebastian laughed. You are letting pride destroy leverage. No, I said. I'm refusing to buy Anna, so you can't. Victor pulled the blue application free. The loading bend lane has weaker sight lines. Your attendance condition will be harder. I understand. And you decline to compete for premium placement? I decline. Anna signed her own application. Sebastian pointed at the red corridor. This is what scale looks like. The red blocks proved paid space, not cooks, ice, or deliveries. Victor looked at him. Prepayment reserves the stalls. It does not waive setup requirements. My operation will be ready. Anna tightened the burner valve. Then show up. Outside, chandelier frames rose over the premium aisle, while our smaller lane collected diesel wind. Setup morning would decide whether Sebastian had purchased capacity or only somewhere expensive to stand. Cold burners lined Sebastian's premium aisle, where promised cooks should have been. Victor stepped around an empty ice bin. Where's the seafood delivery? Delayed, Sebastian said. The prep team? Reassigned after interference. The sub-vendors? Sabotaged. Anna pointed toward the loading bend where her flame was already blue. Mine showed up. Sebastian turned on her. You encouraged vendors to withdraw. I encouraged them to get paid. Malik arrived with a calculator and a slim folder. He placed neither in Sebastian's hands. 6 vendors opted in, he said. They speak for their own invoices, staffing, and deliveries, nothing else. This is theater, Sebastian said. No, Malik said. Theater has chandeliers. The seafood supplier held up a cancellation notice. Your balance stayed overdue. Deferred delivery ended. Cash terms were offered. A prep crew lead kept his folded arms over a clean apron. You put our group in the staffing projection. Nobody sent a shift agreement. Another vendor tapped Sebastian's launch packet. That is my business name. I never approved this placement and no payment arrived. Sebastian looked at Victor. Isolated timing disputes do not invalidate projected capacity. Projected? Anna asked. You sold open. Each vendor kept the originals and let Victor see only scoped copies. Victor checked the canceled slips, invoice dates, and unsigned staffing page. These are sufficient for capacity review? They are coordinating against me, Sebastian said. Malik opened his calculator, then shut it without touching a key. Your projected service depended on favors you had not paid and shifts you had not secured. Anna righted an empty stock pot. You promised. We showed up. You stayed missing. His market capacity was not capacity. It was unpaid staging. Victor closed the folder. Klein, premium placement remains. I will not count these cooks, deliveries, or vendors as active. Sebastian looked past him and found Lena at the end of the corridor. Plain black shirt, empty hands. Front the service, he told her. Explain the launch story while we correct setup. I revoked approval. You remain bound by the option. I am not your apron. Lena, this is bigger than a personal reaction. No, it's smaller. You need somebody clean-looking in front of cold burners. He stepped closer. Do your job. She did not move. Sebastian pointed at me. He engineered this. No, I said. Det did. Victor wrote something on his clipboard. Operational credibility is withdrawn pending actual service capacity. The wind snapped an unpaid invoice against Anna's wrist. Nobody had mentioned my bed, my marriage, or who had touched whom. They had only shown what Sebastian owed and who had refused to float him again. The notebook pressed cold against my ribs inside my jacket. I left the empty corridor and carried it to Rosa's apartment. Rosa opened the door before I knocked twice. You walk heavy when you think you are being noble, she said. I brought lunch. You brought trouble with tortillas. Her apartment kitchen was warm from the small stove. Oilcloth covered the table. A towel sat folded into exact corners beside her medicine tray. She touched the towel first, not the food, and I knew she had been waiting to be hurt with the facts. I put the notebook on the table. I told Rosa I was going to teach the sauce in public. She did not gasp. She did not bless me quick. She opened the dented spice tin and let toasted cumin breathe into the room. My father's kitchen came out of that tin, not as a ghost, as weather, dry heat, Sunday hands, patience nobody could invoice. If I do this, I said, Sebastian loses exclusive. So do we. Los Bravos loses value. Maybe. People will make it wrong. Yes, I looked at her. You are supposed to make this harder. Rosa pinched cumin between finger and thumb. You think locked means loved. That is your foolishness, not your father's. My chest tightened. He kept it close. He kept it close because people were careless, not because hunger belonged to him. I looked at the notebook, dated pages, oil marks, my father's slanted corrections. Lena's copied harm sat inside the same paper as my childhood. I don't want him erased, I said. Rosa pushed the open tin toward me. Then teach like he had hands, not like he had a patent. I laughed, but it broke on the way out. She hurt you too, I said. Rosa's eyes stayed on the tin. Yes. I am not asking you to forgive her. Good. I am busy. That one did make me laugh. She placed the tin in my palm and closed my fingers around it, then reopened them herself. Take it, she said. Do not lock it. I'll teach slow. Slower. I'll let them vary it. You will stop your face from saying murder when they do. I can try. You can do better than try. You are 42. Enough. The cumin dust stuck to the sweat in my palm. I loosened my fist over the table. The application on my phone asked for instructors. I typed Tessa Park under my name and showed Rosa. She will stop you from showing off, Rosa said. She enjoys that. Good girl. I packed the notebook, the griddle checklist, and the open tin. For once, I did not wrap the tin in cloth before it left her kitchen. The market office was louder in the afternoon. Propane tanks rolled over concrete. Someone tested a speaker until feedback cut the air. Sebastian's chandelier rig rose in the premium aisle like a wedding cake for rich ghosts. Victor spread the common aisle application under the fluorescent light. If you teach this, he said, you reduce the scarcity that supports your valuation? I heard you the first 3 times. I'm paid to repeat expensive facts. Nora stood beside the table with her arms folded. I'm here for the rules, not the revenge. Tessa leaned over the form. You spelled Park with an E. Victor blinked. Excuse me? My name. Fix it before I sign. I liked her more every time she cost me something. I booked the common aisle and invited every willing vendor. Nora tapped the application. No marital speeches, no compulsory participation. Workers can watch only if they choose and their station stays safe. If the crowd jams the aisle, Tessa or I shut it down. Agreed. No using hungry people as a jury. I looked at her. Agreed. Victor slid over the fee receipt. Non-exclusive demonstration slot, fire inspection at setup, sanitation station here, crowd flow here. The permit placard, fee receipt, aisle map, and inspected griddle setup went into Victor's folder. Anna came in wiping her hands on a towel. She read the invitation list. Everybody can say no? Yes. Then I'll say yes. Across the glass, Sebastian noticed the posted placard. He walked in holding 2 branded plate covers, his smile polished to a blade. Open lesson? He said. That is not strategy. That is self-harm. Maybe. You cannot build value by giving away your distinction. Tessa signed her corrected name. Watch us. Nora looked at Sebastian. The permit is valid. So are the limits. He glanced at Victor. Victor did not rescue him. Standard rules. Sebastian's jaw worked once, then he turned back toward his lights. The common aisle suddenly felt too wide, too public. The secret still sat in my bag, warm now from the heat of my hip. I pressed the permit flat beside my scarred wrists. By the next night, Sebastian would open under chandeliers with my old life printed above a stolen plate. This time, my griddle had lawful space waiting. Sebastian's launch looked like a jewelry case trying to smell like smoke. Tessa stood beside my dark griddle. Valve stays closed until you choose. I know. Do you? Ask me after. Across the aisle, Sebastian lifted a lacquered cover. Sebastian unveiled the stolen dish under launch lights and called Lena to his line. The sauce shone too tight, over-reduced. Above it, our private vows stretched across a banner big enough to hide a loading door. Sebastian raised his glass. Tonight we liberate regional memory from the limits of one kitchen. A few people applauded. Anna leaned toward me. Liberation came with assigned seating. Patrice wrote that down. He summoned Lena in front of workers, vendors, customers, and Patrice's notebook. Lena, Sebastian said, stand with me. You were essential to this vision. She stayed at the edge of the platform. Plain black shirt, empty hands. I revoked approval. The launch identity predates your withdrawal. My approval does not. This is not the place for contract interpretation. You chose the place. His smile stayed up because the crowd was watching. Come serve the first plate. No. The microphone carried her answer through both aisles. One of his cooks stopped arranging spoons. Sebastian lifted the toast glass toward Lena. You're nervous. I'm not nervous. Then take it. She reached out. My body remembered her hand pressing my burned wrist before service. Slow hands. The memory hurt worse than the slogan. Lena straightened the glass and set it down untouched. I won't toast that. A customer near the front asked, Is she serving or not? Sebastian ignored him. Lena, we have contractual obligations. You sent me a damages notice. That is not consent. Do not confuse personal regret with professional responsibility. Do not call what I gave you professional, because that sounds cleaner. The cook behind Sebastian leaned sideways to see my griddle. Back to station, Sebastian snapped. The cook looked at the cold burners behind him. What station? A laugh moved through the crowd. Sebastian blocked the cook's view with one arm. Do not do this here, he told Lena, forgetting the microphone again. You already did. She stepped off the platform, but she did not cross to me. She stopped in the open concrete between his carpet and Nora's chalk line. That silence was not forgiveness. Her refusal did not restore a key, a pass, or my hand on her body. It only made her answer visible. Tessa watched me. Now? Not for her. For who? I looked at the vendors waiting with clean pans and their own names over their stalls. Everybody! The crowd turned toward the common aisle. I gripped the cold handle, opened the valve, and heard the propane click. Blue flame jumped under the griddle. I rolled the family griddle into the common aisle and handed Tessa the notebook. For 1 second, my fingers would not let go. The spine was warm from my hand. Tessa did not tug. She waited. Chef, she said. Not soft, not cruel. I let go. Sebastian's voice cut across the aisle. This is sabotage. No, Nora said, already moving people back from the burners. This is a permitted demonstration, willing participants only. Every hand joined by choice, and nobody paid to learn. I lifted the first pan. Chili's blister, I said. They don't burn. If they go black all over, you made bitterness and called it depth. A laugh moved through the line. My hands steadied. Tessa has the ratios. Malik, keep the line clear. Anna, if your burner runs hot, pull early. Sebastian stepped down from his platform. You are destroying your own value. Yes, the word tasted like metal and cumin. I poured oil. The first spice hit and bloomed. Cumin smoke rose into chandelier light and made it honest for once. Smell tells you when to move, I said. Not the clock alone. Garlic after the cumin quiets. Citrus at the edge, not the start, unless you like perfume more than food. Vendors leaned in. Neighbors lifted phones, but Nora kept them behind the chalk line. Sebastian's workers watched from the premium corridor until he snapped, back to station. One young cook stayed. You cannot work both lines, Sebastian said. I'm off your clock, the cook answered and stepped closer. I did not grin. I wanted to. I didn't. Tessa rubbed sauce between 2 fingers, waited, then nodded once. Grain's gone. Good, I said. Teach the next one. She looked at me to make sure I meant it. I mean it. Lena left Sebastian's line then, not dramatically. No speech. She crossed the aisle with her hands visible and stopped outside Nora's chalk mark. Where do you need me? She asked. The old answer rose first, beside me. Always beside me. I killed it. Water, tickets, trash, no pass, no passwords. Her face cracked, but she nodded. Understood. By the third pan, there was no secret left to sell. A vendor made the sauce smoky. Another made it brighter. Anna's ran hotter and meaner and good. I tasted an uneven batch and let it stand. My father did not vanish. That was the part that almost took my knees. He stayed in the patience. In the correction, I did not make. In Tessa's hands, turning the spoon over. In a stranger, learning that heat could ask a question before it answered. Sebastian's line thinned while fresh batches moved down the aisle. I kept cooking until my wrists shone with sweat and the notebook lay open under Tessa's palm. By market close, 6 versions of the sauce were moving through the common aisle. A vendor held out a spoon. Too much citrus? Do you like it? Yes. Then serve it. Sebastian shoved his phone toward Victor. Shut these demonstrations down. Remove every copied batch. Victor glanced at the permit. The demonstration is lawful, Klein. This is misappropriation. Anna stirred her pot. Mine. You learned it 10 minutes ago. Still mine. A cook from Sebastian's corridor untied his apron and laid it on the cold prep table. You leave now, you do not come back, Sebastian told him. The cook looked at the empty tasting line. You never gave me a shift after tonight. Another worker set down a branded towel. Workers refused Sebastian's shifts while Tessa's stop work chart stayed posted. Tessa pointed toward our cooling burners. Clean up first. Victory speeches never. Wasn't planning one, I said. You own mirrors? Patrice stepped between Sebastian and the common aisle. I observed the permit, voluntary instruction, staffing failures, and worker departures. You'll receive a factual response window. I demand a takedown. You said misappropriation. What property was taken tonight? He looked at the people serving their own sauces and had no sentence ready. Evelyn arrived before the chandeliers went dark. Patrice turned on her recorder after confirming the limits. Campaign chronology only? Evelyn asked. Campaign chronology only. Evelyn's smile lasted 1 beat too long. Then it disappeared. Lena's withdrawal preceded Sebastian's riposte. The version history shows that sequence. I retained the approved drafts. Sebastian stared at her. You represent this launch. Not after tonight. Patrice published observed service, and Evelyn corrected the campaign chronology on record. Lena's phone buzzed beside the trash station. She read the screen and put it face down. Another client? I asked. Yes. Do you need to leave? No. I need to finish the trash. By the third morning, Sebastian had empty stalls, unpaid balances, and no exclusive sauce. Malik met us at Victor's broker table and pushed forward a stack of notices. Suppliers reviewed their own accounts, he said. Overdue balances, credit suspended, cash on delivery if they choose to continue. Suppliers sent credit holds based on overdue balances and failed capacity. Victor placed a thinner term sheet in front of me. 1 Los Bravos Bay, separate coalition spaces, shared loading and maintenance, lower valuation. This is smaller. It is stable. Tessa read the stop work and operating signatures first. Authority stays separate. Victor nodded. Required. I tasted cumin still caught in my thumbnail. The old number was gone. Chasing it would mean pretending the secret could be locked again. Pen, I said. Malik stopped tapping his calculator. I signed Victor's lower value shared lease term sheet beside Tessa. Victor gathered the pages. Definitive documents require review deposits and separate tenant signatures. Good, Tessa said. This time, I let her answer for the kitchen. Anna employed Lena on paid dish shifts outside Los Bravos Authority. By November, I knew that sentence in my bones because I had no power inside it. I could not schedule Lena, could not fire her, could not praise her into my debt. Anna kept the roster, the wage records, the time cards, and the right to say, again, when a pan came back greasy. Rain hit the loading dock roof while Lena finished closing dish. Steam reddened her face. Citrus soap split the skin over her knuckles. She wore a borrowed apron with no name on it. Anna checked the time card, initialed it, and nodded toward the rack. Clean. Tomorrow. If you want the hours. I do, Lena said. Diego came through the back door, shaking rain from a folder. Final restitution statement. Deposits match the schedule. Outside accountant confirms. Tessa followed with the lease checklist tucked under her jacket. Signature window opens tomorrow. Authority separation unchanged. Romantic as ever, I said. Efficient as ever, she answered. They left us under the dock light with wet cardboard and the soft clatter of dishes cooling behind us. Months later, Lena folded one paper ticket into a boat and asked for nothing. She did it slowly, with cracked fingers, and set it on her side of the stainless table. She did not float it in the sink. She did not smile like the old ritual could open a locked door. I watched soap sting her knuckles before offering my coat. She looked at it first, then at me. Care? She asked. Coat. That was almost funny. I'm recovering. She took it. Our fingers touched. A small shock, not enough to make a decision for us. Desire was still there, which was rude of it. Desire had survived debt, betrayal, cumin smoke, and legal paper. Desire was not wise. It was only warm. I leaned against the dock rail. "Do you still choose us without the restaurant?" I asked. "No brand, no passwords, no pass, no earning your way into my bed with clean dishes." Her eyes filled. She did not straighten anything. "Yes," she said, "without before. Without proof that makes you forgive me. Without using work to crawl back into authority." "I can choose married," I said. "I cannot choose unhurt." "I know." We remained married without putting the restaurant back between us. She pressed the folded boat flatter with one finger. "I'll keep choosing it," she said, "even when you don't feel safe with me." That was the first promise she had made in months that did not ask me to applaud. The definitive lease waited for morning under signatures that no longer confused love with control. Spring morning came in with cedar dust, fresh paint, and key teeth biting into my palm. Nora's pantry shelf had been cleared between sacks of rice and training binders. Victor had the final lease on a folding table. Anna had her own packet. Tessa had a pen. Diego had receipts. Malik had a calculator he barely touched. Lena stood beside Rosa, holding coffee for my mother and nothing for the restaurant. No apron, no credentials. My wife, not my representative. Victor tapped the signature tabs. "Final documents, allocated space schedule, deposit confirmations, landlord acknowledgement after countersignature." The executed lease, deposit receipts, attached space schedule, and landlord acknowledgement stayed in Victor's folder. I signed the definitive shared lease and placed my father's open tin on Nora's pantry shelf. Rosa watched the cumin dust mark my thumb. "Enough," she said. "Let it breathe." Nora did not make the shelf a shrine. She slid the tin beside the training labels where people could reach it when they learned. Nora's shelf turned borrowed space into a standing pantry pledge. Anna had her bay, the coalition had its schedule, and everyone signed only their own obligations. Los Bravos survived smaller, signed, and shared. I thought that sentence would shame me. It didn't. Smaller meant I could see the hands better. Shared meant I could not pretend every sacrifice belonged to me. Back at the rebuilt entrance, Tessa held the new sign while I tightened the screws. Diego steadied the ladder. Malik checked the angle like crooked letters could hurt margins. Anna brought a pan of staff meal from her side, and Tessa wrote Burnt Friday on the first ticket because some jokes had earned survival. Lena stood below with Rosa, rain light on her hair, and did not tell me how to phrase the promise. The old sign had sold a family secret. The new one said, "Los Bravos Kitchen, food by the hands that serve." The new promise left no room for using people as proof. The tin stayed open and the sauce stayed specific without staying secret. I climbed down. My thumb left cumin on the fresh paint. Nobody wiped it off. When the first customers came in, I did not guard the pass like a locked room. I called pickup. Tessa called behind. Anna's burner flared through the shared wall, and Nora's pantry held my father's tin where hungry hands could find it. If stories about betrayal, repair, and the price of dignity matter to you, subscribe to Infidelity Director for the next one. Would you have opened the sauce to save the people around you or kept the secret because it was the last thing nobody could take? Thank you for staying through Mateo's fire. And remember that legacy gets stronger when care has boundaries and the hands doing the work are honored.